Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us this week for our sermon discussion. It was an incredible message by Dr. Dharius Daniels.
Yes.
And I just love all these guest speakers that we've been getting to hear from. This is kind of a tradition that we've done at Elevation all throughout the summer because summer is here.
Yes.
The weather has been hot and
Yes.
beautiful and I'm loving it.
Yes.
And there's so much that's coming up
There's
at our church.
so much
for
coming
summer.
up. We have this actually upcoming weekend, July 3rd, we have our Canada Connect weekend. So all of our EFAM from across Canada is going to be coming to our campus just to see our campus, to learn more about what we're doing here in Toronto and to get connected.
So if you're watching this and you're more than an hour away from us, we'd love to reserve a seat for you.
Yes.
We have some gifts just for you. We want to meet you. We just want to connect with you and invest in you a little bit. And if we can give you some next steps, we'd love to do it. But more than that, we just really want to start building our relationship with our Canada EFAM. So that's after both experiences this
Yes.
Sunday. You won't want to miss it. If you know somebody that watches online and they haven't been out, this is like the perfect time
Yep.
to take a road trip and come visit us. And we're having even some more special things happening.
Yes.
We're having a Water is Wild Day, okay? So what that means is we're gonna be having some water slides, we're gonna be having a dunk tank,
Yep.
we're gonna be having some ice cream, and it's just really a time for community and for all of us to kind of hang out, relax a little bit, and just get to talk about the sermon and build some relationships outside. So it's
And
gonna
Kristen's gonna go in the dunk tank.
Oh, am I? Okay. I don't know about that. Maybe. But that's what's coming up. And then
Yeah.
we're also going out to Whitby
Yes.
and doing another Water is Wild that evening. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a very, very full Sunday. It's
Yes.
going to be fun though. God's going to move. We know
Yeah.
that he's going to do some really great things through all of these different events and experiences. So come on out if you can make it. But
And also, we're coming back with another worship night.
we are coming back
Yes.
with another worship night. You asked for it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And this one's going to be better than ever. We're kicking off Love Week,
Yes.
July 22nd. We are having a worship night at 7 p.m. Honestly, you're not going to want to
No,
miss this one.
It's gonna be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be all out. So make sure you mark it on your calendar right now. Worship night, July 22nd.
Yeah.
So, all right,
Yeah.
let's dive into the sermon a little bit.
Yes.
Dr. Dharius Daniels.
Yes, he actually was the first pastor that I ever saw at Elevation.
Really?
My first time ever coming to Elevation.
That's cool.
He was the preacher that was featured that week, and I actually had the opportunity to do his mentorship program last year.
Amazing.
Which I had no idea was going to set me up to come into ministry.
Yeah.
But Daniel's Den, it's incredible. It's a great
Okay.
program. Check it out. It's not just for people going into ministry, because when I did it, I was just looking for leadership. And so, yeah, it's a
Okay.
really cool program.
Good to know, good to know. Okay, so his message was called This Doesn't Fit.
Yes.
And he talked about how all of us are uniquely designed for a purpose and for our own unique calling. But he also talked about the flip side of that all of us have unique things that bother us.
Yes.
So I want to know, Felicia, what is something that uniquely bothers you?
I cannot stand when someone listens to an entire song right to the very last second, unless we're listening to a whole album and say the song like bleeds over to the next song, that's fine. But if we're just listening to random songs, I don't need to hear the 30-second outro, change the song, get to the next one. I think that has to do with my
Okay,
attention
that's
span,
good
though.
to know though, because anytime we're driving together, I can
Yes.
just flip the song
Yes.
and you will be totally fine with it.
Totally
so
fine
that's
with
good to
it.
know. Okay, for me, on that kind of realm, I don't like when people brush their teeth. Like I don't like watching people
so
brush their teeth. I don't know why, it gives me like chills. It's almost like the chalkboard, like fingernails on a chalkboard.
So you
like,
won't let Steven brush his teeth in front of
I
you?
don't watch him. Like I don't look at him while he's doing it. I don't like the sound. I don't like what's happening. And I always.
What
just
about
never
Grace?
Yeah, Steven kind of brushes her teeth, so he kind of does that. I don't know, the sound, it's the sound for me. So
Interesting.
It's just a kind of random fun fact, but let's dive a little deeper in the message. Why don't we check out this clip and then we'll talk about what stood out to us.
7 people got to the door before David. Let's contemporize it. 7 people met Samuel before David. 7 people applied before David. But God held it in place until David got there. Because when God has something for you, it doesn't matter who gets there first. They can see it first, they can apply first, they can call first, but if your name is on it and God has assigned you to it, what God has for you is for you.
I loved that clip.
Yes.
So good. What kind of part of the message? There's so many great parts, but what was something that really stood out to you?
So my favorite part was when Pastor Dharius Daniels was talking about how the devil can't take our calling, he can't take our value, he can't take our vision or our gifts, but what he will do is he will infect us with inadequacy.
Yes.
And he was talking about how like Gideon and Moses and even David went through this season of feeling inadequate, and God really had to sit them down and be like, no, you're called to this, I've equipped you for this, and go ahead and do it. And so, I feel that there have been lots of seasons or even just days where I just don't feel adequate, or I don't feel like I'm equipped for what I'm about to do.
I feel like we all struggle with this in different ways. We all have these like insecurities in us, and kind of the biggest part that stood out to me was this idea of how he said we will always behave in the way that we see ourselves. But he really challenged us to start to live the way that God sees us, and not let those inadequacies like hold us back. Like really speaking over ourselves, like, no, I am chosen, I am called, and learning how to walk in that authority that God has given you, and walking in that favor that he has for you, and nothing can take that away.
No.
So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, last night I was meeting with my e-group girls, and we did this little activity where Pastor was talking about how whatever you believe or whatever is going on the inside ends up coming out on the outside, and people can see that on you and they can feel it. And so we were saying, like acne, for example, you eat something bad, it comes out on your face. And so I just had them all really declare and walk in the things that made them unique. And I was like, I want you to say it with boldness and really feel that on the inside so that it comes out on the outside. So
it can take a lot though to do that. Like I've struggled a lot with walking in confidence. One year my word was confidence, because I was really determined to live, like try to align myself with how God sees me, and not let like my negative self-talk or like the little voice inside my head tell me that I can't do it, and really just believe like if I stay close to God and I listen to his voice, that I am going to start to see who I actually am, and my gifts and abilities are naturally going to come out that way. I love the one verse that he talked about. It was in 1 Samuel 16:1, and it said, "The Lord said to Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I'm sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I've chosen one of his sons to be king." And I love that how he talked about like sometimes you really have to let go of things to walk into what God is calling you to. And he really had to just like end this attachment. So has there like been a time that you can speak about where you've had to like end an attachment somewhere so that you can really walk into the next season and step into what God has called you to, so you can align yourself to how he sees you?
Yeah, there was all relationships that people have been through, we go through these seasons, especially when you're younger. For me, it was not that long ago where I felt like I really had to end an emotional attachment to walk into what God was calling me to, and to know that the attachment had nothing to do with the will of God over my life. And so I mourned that loss, and Pastor was saying there's something that I highlighted, your tears don't change my will.
Yes.
And just
That's good.
really, like I could cry and cry and cry, but if it's not God's will for my life, like I just need to let it go. And he was also saying how like if God takes something away that you liked, it's because he's going to bless you with something that you're going to love. And so even if I don't see that thing yet, I know that that's why God had me step away from that emotional attachment and really mourn that and release that, and kind of open my hands to receive whatever God has next for me.
I love that. I think for me, when I stepped away from teaching to walk into ministry, it was a little bit of a battle for a while, going back and forth of, oh God, what should I do? What should I not do? Is this the will for my life? Am I going to, like, is this what my next step to be? And I remember I definitely shed some tears too, because you always do in a transition. And when I loved teaching, I loved my class, I loved being able to speak over kids, but I knew that God was calling me to come into ministry and do something different. And I had to just walk away from it to fully walk into what God had called me to. So that's kind of always what I think about that.
Yeah. And Pastor also said, don't waste the oil I've given you.
Yes.
Nothing's wrong with your oil. You've just been pouring it out in the wrong places.
That's
so
good.
I was like, I don't want to waste the oil that God's blessed me with.
Yeah.
And
Me neither.
Yeah. So I don't know who needs to hear that, but don't waste your oil.
Don't waste your oil. Don't waste your oil.
No.
God has something for you, and
Yes.
your oil has a purpose and a place,
Yes.
and it's right on time. So
Yeah.
I loved also what he said, like, difference makers are different.
Yes.
How have you kind of seen something that you feel like you're different in,
Yeah.
but like be used, I don't know, how does it make you special?
There's a few things, and I'm sure a few people would be like, these are things that make you so different. But one of them specifically was when I started making Christian TikToks.
Yes.
Everyone was like, what are you doing?
She's a great Christian TikToker, let me just say
Shameless
that.
plug.
Shameless plug. They're so great. They're so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and when I started making them, people thought it was so weird. Even my friends were like, why are you doing this? These are annoying, these are weird. And they ended up making, well, Pastor was talking about how in one season, things that make you weird or different are going to end up making you relevant in your next
Yeah.
season. And they've connected me to people all over the world. We were at VU conference a couple weeks ago, and there was a girl that I met on TikTok
Yeah.
there who we were able to connect, and she actually serves at VU Church, which is super cool. And then I have another friend who has had her life changed by this ministry through my TikTok account, inviting her out to church
You
through
never
TikTok.
know.
So
These
you
little
never know.
things make a difference,
Yeah.
right? What would it be like if you never started it? These people wouldn't
Yeah.
have had that encouragement.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to think about the things that make you different really do serve a purpose.
Yes.
I think for me it's been priorities. Like I remember at the beginning people would ask me like, "Oh, you're really going to serve all day
Yes.
Sunday? Like you're not going to take vacation, you're
Yeah.
just going to be at church." And at first you kind of are like, oh, you're kind of second guessing yourself when people are saying things, but I've learned to ignore those voices and just be
Yeah.
like, no, I know God has called me here. There's work that only I can do, and I am wholeheartedly committed and passionate about building this church. And it might look different for me, but that's okay because this is where God has me, and this is where I'm planted, and this is what He wants to do. So I just want to encourage you, whatever it is that makes you different, like walk in that calling, and know that God has work for you, and those different things, you don't know how they're gonna lead other people maybe to Christ, or how you're gonna use those things that make you different to influence other people in a positive way.
Yeah.
So those are our thoughts for this week. We hope that you enjoyed it. Watch the message again. It always encourages me when I watch it a couple of times, but I hope that you found this helpful, and we hope to see you out on Sunday for one of the events. So
Yes.
have a great week.